Can't believe it, man. Straight up. 2023 is right here already. And you know what? I can't keep carrying some of these same garbage that I did in 2022 into 2023. My planning has been evolved, and I want to tell you all about it. Hopefully, this can help you too. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, I'm going to be evangelizing what's working for me. Now, you know my goal here, and my goal is simple. I want to help you to build pipeline as best as you possibly can, and obviously to convert as much of that pipeline as possibly can into net new business for yourself and for your organization. But in order to be able to do that effectively, we got to make sure we have things lined up. And one of the things that I've recognized from myself and my team and the clients that I've worked with in 2022 is the simple idea that if we focus, we can see amazing results. Now, I know this probably sounds crazy, but it's not when it comes back down to it. I guess maybe it may sound too overly simple coming back to this notion of focusing. But I want to point out some of the ways that we're not focusing right now as sales professionals and how we can come back to this notion of focusing on the things that matter the most. So if this is your first time watching one of our videos or listening to our podcast, go ahead and subscribe. And every time I drop a new one, we'll notify you. Also, check out our sponsors because they're giving away amazing offers that you could take and apply to help you out in your business. Now, let's jump in and talk about these things in the first place. Here's the problem. Right now, the sales tech stack is crazy. You can look at the tools that you're using or that you're supposed to use, and you see that the list goes like it can go out the door. Now, I recommend tools as well, and I get that. Now, every tool that I recommend, you don't necessarily need it. You need to focus on the ones that's going to best help your business. My job is to go out and evangelize. Even with that, I don't use all the tools that are out there in the world. The ones that I recommend, obviously, I use them. But the thing that you need to make sure you understand is that you're not distracted. And that's a big area for sales reps because they're so bogged down with all these different tools, all these different strategies, all these different ideas. It makes it very difficult for them to focus. The next thing that I see is that there's so much on your plate. You got to hit your numbers. You got to hit your target. You got to hit your focus. Now, with this being such a top priority, you find that your leaders might give you so many different initiatives that you need to follow or take advantage of, such as taking advantage of using your phone using the phone, and then obviously social, and then obviously email, and then you have follow-ups, and then you have clients. There's so many ways that you can deviate from your path and the things that you need to do. And then the final piece, what comes down to the reason why we're just so busy, I mean, there's so much to do. You have work, you have your family life, you have maybe some of you are still in school, you got your job, you got like so many different things that are pulling for you. And even more so now than ever, you need to prepare for those calls. So how do you manage all of this? Well, here are 7 things that I'm doing. And hopefully these can be of assistance to you as you're planning out this year and as you're going about doing things. The first piece, and again, none of these things, I'm just letting you know straight up, if you're looking for the silver bullet, like the magic pill, I am not going to give you any magic pill, but these are things that I see that's worked for me and also for my clients. The first one is focus. I have a focus word. This is one that I'm doing right now, and I did it did it in 2022, having just like a one word that I'm just focused on. That is a theme for my year, and this idea is being deliberate. The word that I'm focusing on right now in 2022, and that I'm carrying into 2023, is discipline. I need to be disciplined in all things, everything that I do. So let's say, for instance, when it comes to discipline, this also ties back to being like just diligent in that effort. So let's say if I'm spending time with my family, I need to be disciplined that I'm spending time with my family. I need to be diligent to be there with them and not being distracted by social media, or by distracted by other phone calls or emails that are coming through. I just need to make sure that I'm disciplined, that I'm spending time with them, that I dedicate my time to them, that we're having a good time, and that it's their time. When it comes towards work, when it comes to doing outreach, it is very tempting when you do an outreach to be bogged down with other things as well. And we're going to talk about that as well. But you got to make sure, at least for me, I got to be disciplined in that outreach effort. I'm trying to make this call to get in touch with prospects. So every call, I need to focus on what am I going to say? Who am I reaching out to? How can I best help that individual, not necessarily their company, but that individual. And that's going to require me to have things up, maybe tools to look at their, maybe look at their LinkedIn and look at their company page, and obviously have my their number and contact information. But being disciplined to focus on them and not necessarily looking at some YouTube video while I'm trying to have this outreach conversation. So this concept has been something that's helped me. When I go back to this idea of discipline again, I was disciplined in my workout, and I've seen much better performance not only in my health, but also in my business and also in my sales efforts. I was disciplined when it comes towards my spirituality, and as I was a little bit more disciplined with that, I saw increase in my communication and in my relationship with God. So those are things that matter to me, and I would encourage you to look at that. What's that theme? What's that word? So now come back to looking at, I use this word to question everything that I do. If I'm doing something, is this something that am I disciplined in this activity? And if it's not an activity that's going to help me to be disciplined, or that I need to be help me to be focused on that one thing or be deliberate in that one thing, then I'm going to change it. So let me give you an example. If I'm aimlessly rolling through social media, is that being disciplined? And of course not. I am being acted upon by the phone rather than me having control over that. And as a sales rep, I want to have that control. I want to have the results that I desire. So I'm making sure that I have discipline in my life and eliminate those things that are not going to help me to be focused and to have that discipline and direction and dedication that I need. Hopefully that makes sense. But the key there is a theme. Find a word that's going to be themed out, that you can use to theme out your activities, and everything that you do needs to come back to that. Is this going to help me to do X? If this is this activity going to help me to is this behavior I'm doing helping me to fulfill this goal of being more disciplined? And if not, eliminate it. Speaking about elimination, the 80-20 rule, the Pareto theory, the Pareto law, that 80% of our results come from 20% of our activities. So go back to this idea again of doing so many different things as a sales rep. As I looked at this as an organization, we saw that there are several types of companies that were just in our ICP, like even taking our ICP and bringing it down to a even more niche focus. And what we started to see was that there are companies that are more likely to buy, companies that are more likely with intent. And we started to just double down on that. And the ones that were paying us, those are the ones that we started to focus more on. And now the crazy idea is that by focusing on these type of organizations, again, taking your ICP to a whole nother level and looking at who are actually buying, the individuals, the ones that are working, and we're spending our time there. So why do we need to have multiple ICPs? Like, there are people who will come to our, and I'll give you an example. There are people who will come to our organization for maybe they want to get some consulting work or consulting help. That's something I can do, and we have another coach and so forth that can help with some of these jobs and some of these roles. But we saw that a lot of our business were coming, the ones that were providing the highest amount of revenue, things that were giving us the best results, was coming from our training program and coaching. So we're doubling down on those things that matter the most, the things that are going to give us the best bang for our buck, the thing that's going to give us the best result. Same idea for you. Don't waste your time prospecting just because you feel it's good. Let's look at the data and see what's actually generating a result. And this goes back to my number one again about being disciplined. I'm disciplined on the things that's working for me. If you're doing phone calls and that's as your only method and you're not seeing result, then perhaps you need to try other means. If you're getting communication with people on social, then incorporate more social. And I know this sounds simple, but once you get into your routine, it's hard to break those habits. And if you're doing one thing over and over because it worked in the past, it doesn't necessarily mean it'll work again in the future. You got to make sure you go back to my previous episode where I talked about what's coming up ahead when it comes to the Salesforce State of Sales report. We have a link down below so you can get access to that as well. Number 3, daily planning. 15 minutes at the end of the day, planning out the next day. This by far is one of those things that help me to be able to just to eliminate waste. And what I mean by this too is that it's not like a long drawn out process. Look at your day for tomorrow, and then how can you prep for that? Are there certain meetings that you need to work towards? Are there certain materials you need to prep for? Are there certain things that you need to research about a prospect. Do you have your list and so forth prepped or ready as you prepare for the next day? Who are you going to meet with in those meetings, and what are some of the things that they find important? Just making sure that you're ready as you dive into the next day, like doing this simple idea and do these simple tasks at the end of the day, and just making sure I know what's coming up the next day was by far one of the most simplest activity, but one of the most powerful thing that gave me confidence going into the next day, and it helped me to be able to accomplish the things that I was doing. I also track my work, so I was looking and seeing like what of the number of outreach activity that I did, how many of those led into meaningful conversation? From the meaningful conversation, how many of those led to appointments? And by doing this again, it just helped me to be able to feel fulfilled and I track how many tasks that I've completed. This is all in my sales planner. So if you don't have one, go ahead and check it out. You can find it on Amazon. Again, link down below in the show notes as well. But that sales planner and having that tracking and making sure I'm accountable to myself on a day-to-day basis, man, it's night and day. This goes right back into the next part, is to track your work. Just keep track of what you're doing. Sometimes, and this goes back up to what we were talking about, focusing on what matter. You can't focus on what matter, the things that are going to give you the best result, if you don't know what those things are. So for you, you can just simply be just if you were to do it for a week, just try this activity. Scratch that. Do it for like one day. Write down everything that you do for that day, every task you do. And even just start off with an hour. Just remember, have a sheet of paper and just write down what you're doing. Once you get done at the end of that day and you look at it, you'll see that there are certain, go back to that 80-20 rule. Some of these things that you're doing that you don't necessarily need to do, and it's not leading to that 80% of your revenue. It's not leading to that big chunk. And one of those tasks or those things that are not going to help you to go towards that, you can start looking for ways to identify ways that you can pass those on to other people or eliminate them altogether. But again, that notion, that concept is that you need to track your activities so you can be able to know what is working and what's not working. I'm telling you, man, I'm going in. I'm going in 2023 hot with this notion, with this concept of being disciplined in all things, because I got to see the result. Oh man, come on. Number 5 is to use a timer for task. You have it on your phone. You can also get a small one, just if you don't want to be distracted by your phone, but or if you have an Alexa or one of those devices, set the timer. In our office, we have an Alexa, and I also have my phone. You can also just do it on your watch, but there's those little timers. My son has one of them, and it's pretty cool for when he's doing activities at home. But if you set it for like 15 minutes, the next 15 minutes, I'm just going to answer emails. And you just dive in and just go, 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 go. With your phone turned off, or if you're using your phone for that, you're put it in airplane mode. You can at least still get your timer going. But the point of this is that you're highly focusing on those activities, and you're not being distracted by other things. If you're doing LinkedIn, make sure you do LinkedIn. If you're doing prospecting phone calls, you have 30 minutes or an hour, you do that in that time period. The timer is going to help you, and it is really fun to gamify this whole process. We kind of talked about this already, but I want to go a little bit more in detail. Prep for the next day. So one area that I get distracted in is LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I utilize the platform. As I go on LinkedIn, I can get sucked into watching and seeing all these other things that are going on, as opposed to doing my task. And there's so many different tasks that you could be doing. So let's say, for instance, if I'm going and accepting connection requests and replying to those connection requests, I'm going to set my timer for that 20 minutes, and I'm going to spend my time or 15 minutes, accept connection requests and have conversation. If it's going to be reaching out to people to try to get appointments during that 30-minute window, I'm just focusing on, again, discipline to say in this 30 minutes, I'm reaching out to people to get appointments. If it's going to be responding to notifications or comments, spend that 10 minutes, and I'm going to put a timer for 10 minutes, and I'm going to and focus on that thing in that 10-minute window. But when you're doing the task, it's just prepping, knowing what you're going to do before you do it. You can find that it's so easy, so tempted to just get sucked into, again, not only in social media, but if it's email. That's one of those places that are an endless pit. But if you've applied going into email that I'm going to respond to internal emails right now, get that knocked out. But you're going into this thing with an idea, with a plan, and then obviously, does a plan always work? No, but it keeps you on track way more than just aimlessly saying, I'm just going to go on social media, or I'm just going to go into my email box. Being deliberate, being disciplined, and being focused Not only is this going to help you to just get more done, but it's going to help you to make more money. Absolutely promise you on that one. So prep for it. Every task you're going to do, make sure you have that preparation done. Again, if I'm going to prospect tomorrow, don't try to build a list in your outreach sequence before you do the actual calls. Go ahead and create that sequence beforehand. Get it that accomplished the day before, so your mind could be in the right place. Now, when you come in, you're just going to go ahead and hit run and make the phone calls, and the emails are going to keep going. So plan, just have a preparation for those tasks. And then number 7, kind of hit on this and alluded to it, but it's the elimination of distraction. So when it comes towards doing a task, putting things away, one area that I find that many BDRs, SDRs, and AEs have problems with is when you're doing an outreach, cold outreach, you're picking up your phone and you're looking at TikTok, and you're doing some Instagram reels, and you're probably scrolling on LinkedIn. You're probably looking up some of the score in your fantasy. You're doing other tasks, and I would tell you not to do that. When that person answers, you don't want to be fumbling. Be focused on that person and eliminate that distraction. Another way that you can eliminate those distractions, again, I talked about this already, but putting your phone in airplane mode. When I put my phone in airplane mode, I know like my wife might try to get a hold of me, but if there's an emergency, she know other people in the office, or she can go ahead and still, send me an email or send me, some other type of communication. Your family members, the people who care about you the most, they have more than one way of contacting you, and you don't necessarily need to feel like, think back in the days when people didn't have cell phones. I know some of you grew up with cell phones. People didn't have a way of getting a hold of you all the 20, every single second of the day. So they found other ways, and it's the same concept. They can still get in touch with you if there's going to be a dire emergency. And if I were to ask you during like how many dire emergency you've had in the past month, you probably can't put that. You probably can't say, yeah, I had dire emergencies that people had to get a hold of me. Or if it's think about it for the past 6 months. Many of you probably don't have some. Of course, some of you have had those situations, but the point is, on a day-to-day basis, are you going to get that? Are you going to get those situations where you need your phone and somebody need to contact you or talk to you? No. So my philosophy there is put the phone away. Focus on the thing that you need to focus on and eliminate those distraction could be also in the form of things that people that pull you away from your end goal. Are there folks that are going to have you, you're going out drinking and doing things that you're, getting yourself messed up before you go, getting a hangover before you start the workday the next day? Or are you or are you distracted by drama in your life when it comes to relationships? I mean, don't create extra drama in your life. Eliminate those dramas, eliminate those distractions. If something is not going to help you to go towards your end goal, what is that why that you have? Maybe it's to take care of your family. Maybe it's to travel the world. Maybe it's to, help your clients. If something is not going to help you to do that, and it's going to actually, actually do the opposite and have a negative impact on you, then don't do it, man. Eliminate it. So, and is social media, you need to get rid of all your social media platform? No, people do that. I at one point I was really really addicted, so I deleted actually the app on my phone for Facebook, and I had to type in a browser and put my username and password in each time. I could tell you that's definitely slowed me down, and I didn't go on there as much as I wanted to. So doing things like that is very helpful. Hopefully this gives you some kind of guidance when it comes towards going into the new year. But those 7 things, again, how I'm planning out 2023, I am I have a focus word, which is discipline. Number 2, 80-20 rule. What are the deals, the size deals, the offerings that our company have that gives me the 80% of my revenue? And I'm going to focus and double down on those things. Daily planning, 15 minutes before at the end of the day, and just making sure I'm ready for the next one. Tracking my time, my work, using my planner to track that. You can track it on a sheet of paper, but just being disciplined and diligent on knowing what am I doing on a day-to-day level. Use a timer for task. Now that I'm planning out my days, just have a simple timer of how long I'm going to do this task and how long it should take me, and have the timer. Prep work before I do the task. So whether that's doing cold outreach, making sure the list is built prior to me doing the outreach, or if it's going to be sending up running a sequence, don't try to write those emails right now. Prep by doing those things beforehand. Eliminate distractions. Putting my phone away is one of those main distractions, but if there are other people or things in your life that are not going to help you, put that away. I would love to hear from you. What are some things you're doing in 20 to plan in 2023? you can go ahead and drop me a message. Donald C. Kelly on LinkedIn, Donald C. Kelly on Instagram, Donald C. Kelly on TikTok. Drop me a message and let me know. Just say, Donald, this is how I'm prepping for 2023. We also have a community on Circle. If you want to get connected with us, you can find a link down below. We, instead of going to some of these online Facebook group on social media platforms, you can come to our community. You can interact. You can get questions answered and connect with our with our team and other sales professionals just like you who are just looking to build more pipe. As always, that's our goal. We want to teach you how to build more pipeline and to convert more of that pipeline. I want you to raise your level of thinking and go out and do big things. Thank you so much for watching.